The resource allocation graph method we have seen is not applicable to a system with multiple instances of different resource types. So the next algorithm we are going to discuss can be used in such a case. Obviously, it is less efficient than this resource allocation graph method. Anyway, it effectively solves the issue where different resource types have multiple instances. And this algorithm is commonly known as Banger's algorithm because this algorithm could be used in a banking system to ensure that the banker can allocate its available cash in such a way that it's able to satisfy the needs of all the customers without exempting anyone from the requirement. Now, coming to the details of this algorithm, it is used in a scenario where different resource types have multiple instances, and the major requirement for this algorithm is that each and every process when entering into a system should declare its maximum requirement for different resource types in advance. Now, this algorithm is actually implemented with the support of a set of data structures. We can see one by one. Let n is the number of processes in the system and m is the number of resource types. Now the first data structure is available, which is a vector of length m, where m is the number of resource types. This, for example, available of j is equal to k means k instance of resource type rj is currently available or currently free. This, for example, suppose in our system we have two different processes P0 and P1 and three resource types, tape drives, disk drives and printers. And if the value of available is 213, that means two instances of tape drive is currently free. Assuming that tape drive is the indicates the first position, disk drive in the second position and printers in the third position. So three printers are available now, or one disk drive is available now. And the next data structure is max. Max is a matrix of n by m, where n is the number of processes and m is the number of resource types. So each row in this max denotes a particular process. So if max of ij is equal to k means maximum k instances of resource type rj will be required by process pi. You can see an example for that. This is a matrix in our system where we have only two different processes P0 and P1 and three different resource types. Okay, so here the value 4 in this matrix indicate that 4 instances of tape drive in maximum will be required by process P0. Like that, if we check this element, one here indicates that one instance of printer will be required by process P1 at the maximum. So this is the matrix denoting the maximum requirement for each resource type by each process. Like that, we have the third data structure, that is allocation, which indicate the current allocation state of each process. It's also an n by n matrix where n is the number of processes. So if allocation of ij is equal to k means currently k instances of resource type rj is allocated to process pi. Can you see an example for that? So P0 is 111, that is for process P0, one instance of tape drive, one instance of disk drive and one printer is already allocated. Like that, P1, two instances of tape drive, one instance of disk drive and no printer is assigned for the time being. And one more data structure, that is a need matrix. Obviously, need indicate future requirement for each process. It is also an n by n matrix. Need of ij is equal to k indicates that k more instances of resource type rj will be required by pi. It may request in future for k instances of resource type rj. This, for example, need of 310011. P0 require 3 more instances in future. Tape drive, like that, one instance of disk drive, no more printer it needed. Like that, P1 also require one instance of disk drive and one printer in future. Obviously, this need will be the difference between maximum and allocation. Maximum it require this much and already allocated with this much, and the rest will be required in future. Now, before going to the details of this algorithm, let us be familiar with some notations used in this algorithm. First of all, request vector is denoted by request I, which denotes the request vector of process Pi. Just for example, request of 0 is equal to 1 means P0, process P0 issues a request in which it requires one tape drive, one disk drive and one printer. Okay, and like that, any vector can be represented using the process ID as the subscript for that vector. And if we can compare these two vectors and this condition will be satisfied, or we can say that the corresponding condition is true if the individual elements in the vector satisfy the condition. Just for example, suppose request 0 is 111 and we compare that with need of 0, and need of 0 is 212. So individual elements will be compared, that is 1 less than or equal to 2, again 1 less than or equal to 1, and 1 less than or equal to 2. So all the three elements satisfy the condition. So we can say that request of 0 less than or equal to need of 0 is true. Like that, we can do the vector comparison. Now coming to the actual implementation of this Banger's algorithm. Say process Pi requests for a set of resources denoted by request I. First of all, we have to check out whether this request is less than the actual future requirement of this process. Definitely it should be like that, otherwise some error is there. Okay, so first check for that. If no, that means there is an error. Otherwise, go to the next step. Okay. Second, we can check whether the current requirement or current request of this process can be satisfied by the currently free resources, that is denoted by the available. Okay, then only we have to think about granting, otherwise this process have to wait definitely, right? So that is the second scenario we have to check out, that is request of I less than or equal to available. If no, the process have to wait. Otherwise, that is, this condition is satisfied, that means currently there are free resources available that can be allocated to this process, subjected to this won't lead to deadlock. So now we are here to go for the step to check whether the request when granted will create a deadlock or not. Okay, how the system will do is that the system will just pretend as the request is granted. Okay, and based on that, the resulting state is safe or not, that will be checked by the system. Okay, how will it will pretend? By updating the information, that is, we have three data structures: available, location and need. All those three will be affected when this request is allocated, right? So available will be available minus request I, because we are deducting or taking out some resources from this freely available resources. That should be updated. Then allocation of the corresponding process will be added upon by the requested resources, right? So allocation will be updated by adding request to file. And what about the future requirement for this process? That will be deducted, because this much this much resources are already allocated, so that much will be deducted from the future requirement. This much updations will be done in the current state of the system, and we have to check. So this is the present scenario after granting the request. Definitely we are not granted, just pretending that we are granted. Okay, and we have to check whether the resulting state is also safe. Okay, we have a special algorithm here, call that algorithm. Okay, the output of the algorithm will be whether the state is safe or not. So this state will be fed as input to the safety algorithm, and the safety algorithm will say that safe or unsafe. If safe, allocate the process. Okay, so this is the case. And if unsafe, the current state is unsafe, that means we cannot grant the request for the time being, the process have to wait. So already we updated this much information, right? That should be restored back. We have to change into older values. So how will do? All the changes should be reverted back. Available we have to add upon with the request, because we are a detector, right? Like that, allocation will be allocation minus request. Need will be need plus request. Whatever we updated here, the reverse thing we have to do here. This is how the Bayes algorithm works. Now, one thing to be clarified that don't confuse with the vectors. Available is a common vector which indicates the currently free resources of each type, right? That's a vector. And what about request I? The request issued by process Pi. Like that, allocation I, the current allocation for the process I. Okay, process Pi. Like that, need I also indicating to a particular process. The future requirement for process Pi. Okay. Now let us elaborate on this safety algorithm. So given a current allocation state, how the system will check whether the state is safe or not. We can see the details of that algorithm. So safety algorithm, as we have discussed in the last session, that is introduction to the deadlock avoidance, it is like that. It will receive the current allocation state of the system as the input, and it will find whether there exists a safe sequence. What is safe sequence? If you are able to arrange the different processes in the system in a particular order, that is the order in which they can execute without creating any deadlock. Such a sequence exists for all the processes in the system. We can say that the current allocation state is safe. If no, the state is unsafe. So this same principle works here also. We can see step by step. First, we are using two vectors, work and finish. Work just initialized with the available currently free resource set will be assigned to work, and finish I is the vector representing whether the current processes are finished or not. So corresponding to each process, an entry will be there in the finish vector, and finish I equal to false means process Pi is not finished. Okay, so currently all the process will be assigned a value here. Initially all the process will be not finished, right? So finish I equal to false for all the processes. Now the second step is that we have to find an entry in this finish vector which is false. That is, we have to find a process which is not yet finished. Such a process we have to select, and we have to meet a criteria, that is the need of y less than or equal to work. That means the future request for this process can be satisfied with the available resources. Then only we have to allocate, right? We can allocate, right? So if these two conditions are satisfied, okay, just allocate some resource. Otherwise, if no such I exists, then go to step 4. So we may reach this fourth step in two different scenarios, right? Either this first condition is false, that is we cannot find any process for which finish of I is equal to false. That is all are finished. Okay, that is first condition. That is a good thing, which indicate that there is no deadlock. So if this is the reason for coming to step 4, that is we couldn't find any process for which its request can be satisfied with the currently available resources. That is, we are getting stuck here. That means the system is not able to proceed further. It is an unsafe state. Okay, so these are the two cases. So first is the case, that is if finish I is equal to true for all I, we are done. So system is in a safe state. Otherwise, if this is the case, we are getting stuck, then the system is unsafe state. Okay, so these are the two different scenarios by which we came to this step 4, right? Now coming back to step 2, suppose we have already found such an I, that is its finish I is equal to false, that is it yet to finish, and need I less than or equal to work. Its future requirement can be satisfied with the currently available resource. In that case, we can go to step 3. That is, we can allocate the resources for that process. Okay, after allocation, what will happen? That process will execute and it completes its execution. After that, it will release all the resources allocated to it. That is why we are doing work is equal to work plus allocation here. That is, the process pi completed, so all the resources allocated to it will be released now. That can be added to the free resources. That is why work equal to work plus allocation I, and the corresponding finish I values will be updated as true. Okay. Again go to step 2 to find another process for which these two criteria are there, yet to finish and which can be satisfied by the currently available resources, and repeat these two steps until all the processes are finished. Okay, and finally we will reach up this step 4 to find out whether the system is safe or not. This is how the safety algorithm works. In the next session we can see an example for Banger's algorithm. Thank you.